Beautiful at such a time as this, Christmas time, a time where the world congregates and realizes that sometime, somewhere in history, God Almighty gave of His Son a free gift so that mankind could move forward through its sin and come out on the other side. And that amazing holiday that we celebrate every December 25th is swinging back around again this year. And yeah, we're all thinking about giving gifts. We're all thinking about what can I give to that special person, my mom, my dad, my mailman, my janitor. I don't think there's a better gift that you could give anybody during this Christmas season than the gift of me. So let's get in that festive mood, shall we? Jingle bells, jingle all the way. I am sure you're wondering what Brad will say today. Oh, jingle bells, jingle through the snow. What a great gift this was. Welcome to the Brad Stine Show. Hit it, Whitey!
So yeah, we definitely need somebody to do the singing for you.
What are you saying, White?
Nothing the audience doesn't already know.
Okay, well listen, here's the deal, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is in fact another Monday night. It is in fact another 7 p.m. Central Time. It is in fact another Wyatt sidekick interaction of incoherence. It is another moment where God's comic Brad Stine Show, brought to you by Christian Podcast Central, the place where all your Christian podcast needs go to die, or at least resurrect. And Glockstore.com. That's right. If you need a new trigger for your new Glock, you know where to go. Glockstore.com and Christian Podcast Central for your podcast Christian needs. Not necessarily in that order. Wyatt, it's good to be back. It's exciting to be back with my people. I think it's always important that I do a quick rundown as who's here, if anybody. So let's take a look and see if, in fact, Nick is done. Yes, he has. Wyatt didn't have to look, just anticipated. But sure enough, Nick Kress has beaten everybody else to the trigger, which means he must shop at Glockstore.com. Wyatt, what do you think it means?
Well, honestly, my memory is so bad that I keep forgetting if he's the one who's always first or never first.
He's always first. No, it's Nick, and he is absolutely number one, right behind Karen Vancelet Luff, hi Brad and Wyatt, who also beat Karen. I said Karen. Sorry, I mispronounced your name. That's a good Christmas gift we can all give Karen Boyd, that we call her Karen. Third was Sean Syriac. Hey, bud. Paula Faye Marie Rouse. She still hasn't acquired another name, but she's greeting us from Floral City. Lawrence Allagood. Hi, Brad. God deserves more credit. Does he indeed? Benjamin Gregory's here. Hey, Benjamin. He is my man who posts my links. God bless him for being there. Barbara Duvall's there. Hi, Brad. Karen Vancelet Luff said something else again. Sean is said, little cold there, Brad. I got down to 2 capital days ago, lop. Here's one I literally just read. Little cold there, Brad, left out loud. It got down to 2 capital days ago, lop. 2 capital days ago, lop. Now, if I need to translate you for those who are out there watching my show for the first time, clearly you need to attend the show more often, where you can learn to speak incoherence Literally. White, you're great at it.
How do you misspell little?
Well, look what Joe Askew said, 7:04. You're late. Now, let me tell you something,
listen.
Joe. I wasn't late, but my sidekick / producer / speaking up without knowing what he's saying / son is the one that's late because I sat there and said, it's 7. And he said, well, I got to make sure that YouTube also gets to be connected, and they are immediate connection. But then, here's the other thing, Dad. Suddenly I got to push another button that somehow forces Facebook to send out notifications that the show we've been doing for a year and a half, I have to somehow figure out how to correlate with YouTube. So, sorry, Dad, I started late, but it's not my fault because I'm the technical support here. And if I tell you that it's impossible to start at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, you're going to have to trust me because you're an old boomer and you wouldn't know any difference unless I told you so. That's what I get, folks.
Okay. Let me just say, we did start at 7 p.m. on the YouTube fun.
I say. Well, anyways, what we've learned is apparently you're wrong. Once you click YouTube, I can't immediately click Facebook and everything happens.
No, you can't. At all.
He's angry, folks. He's an angry young man. He's 25 years old and he works at Lowe's. Could you blame him for his intemperance? Could you blame him for his incontinence? No!
Are you done?
I've actually put him on diapers for his incontinence, and he doesn't care. You know why? He works at Lowe's. He can't get any lower than that. Go ahead, White. What do you got to say?
Okay, so, to finally put this to rest, how about next week you start the show, and we'll see when we get on the air then.
Okay.
Okay?
White has offered me a gauntlet.
So basically what I'm saying is, folks, no show next week.
Hey, guess who else is here? Megan Smith. She said I'm a mix of Woody Harrelson and Robin Williams. If Woody Harrelson and Robin Williams were mixed, wouldn't that be illegal? Because that would be genetic cloning, Wyatt. Any ideas?
Is genetic cloning illegal? I don't think we want the point of it being good enough for us to even have the discussion.
If you're trying, though, it's illegal. Brett Loomis is out there. Shauna Frederick's out there. Steve Whaley's out there. Look what happened. Brad, Dan Bongino put one of your videos up on Rumble. Well, I did not know that. Dan, thank you for putting one of my videos up on Rumble. I appreciate that. You're a good man. You're a conservative man, Christian man. You got a huge audience. I'm just building mine. So thank you so much for putting my my clip up on Rumble. I appreciate it. One thing I know for sure is who didn't put my clip up on Rumble, and that'd be my son, because he can't get me on Facebook at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
What's Rumble?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I'm not joking. What is Rumble? This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Rumble?
Is this like a third streaming thing you want to
It was a social media site created right after an earthquake. Let's see. Walter D. Metz there. Hello, Brad. Linda Reeker, I'm here. Good to have you. Glock Store's there. You need to check out the United Nations sculpture in New York City. Is it the sign of the times? Everything's a sign of the times, my friend. Everything points to the fact that we are a culture that has gone astray. We are a group of people that have lost their way. We are human beings that are fully, totally, and utterly engulfed in their sins and trying to work our way out of the cesspool to get another breath before we finally go under. Am I talking about America? I'm talking about the human condition. Wyatt, was that pretty insightful, or was I just babbling?
Oh, how much did you like that analogy? I'm curious.
I loved it. Hey,
in that case, it was a stroke of genius.
I think he's bucking for an actual raise, which in this case would be anything.
A raise, yeah. Just
how about 10 cents? That would be better. Hey there, Merry Christmas for Kinston, Ohio. That's Carrie Tudor. Dusty Willems there. Benjamin Sett, the Christian Podcast Central. Thank you. Timothy Gilroy. Hey, everybody. Yep. Angela Murphy. You know who I haven't seen yet? Karin. Where's Karin, boy? Just stopped in. Keep telling it. Gotta run, Daniel Main. Thanks for stopping in, but stick longer last time.
Okay.
Penny Elliott's here. Matt Jenkins is here. Edward Etheridge said, howdy, Brad and White, Texas in the house. Yeah. Rebecca Daly Dwyer, Sean Sirik, Ray, Walter Matt, Rick Hillibert. Your drink got cheap at the good word. God bless Rick from Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, Rick, how are you? My apology, Hillebrad. Love you, brother. Keep on doing what you're doing from here in Cleveland. Yes. Linda Reeker's here. You're funny and you have wisdom. I have wisdom first. The funny is icing on the cake. Wyatt, will you concur?
I mean, it would be wise to.
If you want to make any money. Love watching shows from Indiana. Hey, I'm from Indiana. I am, in fact, a Hoosier. And I got to tell you this, Wyatt. I don't know if I ever brought this up. I have been in all 50 states. I've worked around the world. I happen to have been born in Indiana. I never bring it up. And I don't know why. I guess it's because every time I ever said, hey, I'm from Indiana, there's always some guy in the crowd goes, Indiana, I'm from her too. You know.
I always thought you didn't do it because clearly everybody else is more than happy to do it for you.
Well, they do bring it up. I don't know if they knew that. They got to go to my Wikipedia to find out I'm from there. Louisa Pratt's here. Love watching your show from Indiana. And Ben is here. And Angela Murphy. I struggle with incontinence. Angela, I'm going to give you the medal of the day for being maybe one of the bravest listeners I've ever had, watchers, viewers. Very rarely will a human, let alone a woman, get on national television and say something like, hey, folks, I pooped my pants. So God bless you. Give her credit, son. You are in your diaper, and yet you don't admit it. This woman did it and put her name involved.
This isn't national television.
This
is purely local television.
Dusty said we're like Abbott and Costello. Dusty, I don't know how to break this to you, my friend, but you just brought up a team of comedians that my son's never heard of, and he won't even...
You kidding me? I haven't heard of... What are their names again?
Thank you.
No, but the other guys did Who's on First, isn't it?
Angela Murphy says, my husband thinks you're George Carlson every time he hears you. If I remind him of George Carlson, that would be because George Carlson worked at the feedlot in Indiana. If you're talking about George Carlin, though, that's a comic. Blessings to you, brother, and your family. Happy Monday, Mr. Stine Wolf. Great show from Jefferson City, Missouri. Keep it up. I will. Andrew Jones is here. Angela Murphy. New one on me. Sean Siri. So, again, I don't see Karen anywhere. So, if anybody knows where Karen is, tell her. Oh, there she is. I found her. Hi, Brad. All wrapping up a Christmas party. Do you hear what Karen just said? I finally found her many, many minutes into this. She said, hey, everybody. I was just wrapping up a Christmas party. Sorry I'm late. She only left out one part. I'm drunk. That's why I'm late. And the only reason you're late is one of two reasons. Number one, you're drunk. Or number two, as in my son's case, he's just incompetent. All right, well, listen, we got to get on to the show, show that everybody came to see.
Though, I have this one more message that I just want to...
There's a message?
Well, a comment.
Okay, what's the comment? Is it for me? Is it for you? Is it for Karen Boyd, the drunkard? Who's it for?
I genuinely could not tell you.
Okay, who's it from?
So it's by Carrie Tudor, who says, it Scortio media to tour freedom of speech more than Facebook.
What did she say? It what?
It Scoio. Yeah, Scoio. Is that how you pronounce that? Scoial. How do you pronounce that?
What?
It's Scoial. How do you pronounce that?
Scoilo? Maybe she misspelled it. I don't know what
Scoio. Media.
What did she say after that?
Media to tour freedom of speech more than Facebook.
Media to tour freedom of speech more than Facebook. Maybe she's talking about another social media platform I should use instead of Facebook. I don't know.
Honestly, I just thought it was funny, like the other person that misspelled something. What was that message?
Wyatt, if you are going to spend this time excoriating our listeners, our viewers, especially those who are continually pooping in their pants, I think you might want to find another profession, son, because these people are our lifeblood. The money you make sitting on my right side, being my tech support, my moral support, and my humorous sidekick, all comes from these people, son. Every dime you make comes from them. So give them a little what?
But I don't make money here. In fact, they don't even know what I look like or who I am. The only person that they can really direct their anger towards is you.
Are they directing their anger?
No, but if they did...
It'd be to me?
Well, because what are they going to do? Direct it to me, the person they don't even know about?
All right, well, let's talk.
It's like I'm the ventriloquist and you're the dummy.
Oh, now you're using the dummy, but not actually insulting your father, because you used it as a metaphor of I'm the ventriloquist and you're the dummy, and the dummy is the name of the ventriloquial, what do they call though? Object, humanoid.
Yeah.
And so you're using that so you could insult me and in some ways act as though you were being insightful.
Well, no, wasn't that like a thing where like ventriloquists, like people would get mad at the dummy and not the ventriloquist?
Of course.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because the dummy is a smart aleck.
The dummy's the one who said it.
Amen.
According to the ventriloquist.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. Matter of fact, I have a routine that I do about dummies. Have you ever seen it? Karen, you might have seen me do it. Karen Boyd, if you don't know who Karen is, she's usually here on time, but today she was drunk. She gets on, and she came to my show twice live in South Carolina. And I think at one time I did an improv, and I was talking about a dummy and an infant ventriloquist. So Karen probably seen it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and message her on this thread. Ask her about it. Maybe if she can remember it, if she's not between bouts of throwing up from vomit from the drink, then she might be able to give you some information.
Explained that joke like a pro.
Listen to me, son. I'm doing the best I can to make up for your 4-minute lapse.
Excuse me, it's only 4 minutes on Facebook.
4 minutes on Facebook in dog years? 47 years these people have been waiting for this show to get started. Crying out loud, son.
Okay. Look, all I'm saying is, would you rather me start 4 minutes late on Facebook or 4 minutes early on YouTube?
I don't know at this point. I'm so confused. I want to tell you guys about something I wanted to talk to you about today. And it has to do with this season known as Christmas. Now, the reason I want to bring it up is because it's the Christmas season. I do have some routines that I use that deal with Christmas, and I've done them over the years. It's actually a famous rant. One of my most famous rants comes from my most famous album, Put a Helmet On, and that album we listened to last week that was sampled on the Go Fish song, Christmas with a capital C, that became a huge hit on Christian radio, and it sampled a routine of mine from Put a Helmet On. That rant and that Go Fish song became the title of a movie, Christmas with a capital C, that you can see. I think it's on maybe PureFlix streaming. It might be on Amazon Prime, and you can buy it on the DVD. You can buy on I think on Amazon. Now, I might have one DVD of those personally that I will donate as a gift to anybody that wants to give $500 towards this podcast that I am using to try to revamp for next year. As you guys know, we bought some stuff so that we can have the guests in, and so I've decided that I'm going to give my personal copy of Christmas with a capital C DVD. It's $500, a lot of money, but I will personally sign it to the person of your choice and send it to them, and you donate that. You just say, yeah, I want to do this. Obviously, it's way overpriced, but it's basically a donation. We're coming to the end of the year, and you can use this as a tax write-off. I will sign it to the person of your choice. I will send it to them with a personal note and say thank you, and it will be a tax donation, and it will be my gift to you for saying thank you for helping build this ministry of podcasts, which is The Brad Stine Show, which is conservatism, Christianity, and... wait, what is it? Let me see. Oh, comedy, conservatism and Christianity in a cacophony of clarity. I wanted to talk to you guys about Christmas. Now, as I said, we have a lot of routines that I have done over the years about Christmas. But last week, I played one of my rants about people not saying Merry Christmas anymore. This was from, 2003, so like 18 years ago, from Put a Helmet On, my most famous album. Well, over the years, as I got known more and more as this conservative comedian, as this Christian comedian who was edgy and out on a ledge and pushing the envelope and whatever, I continued to revisit that particular routine that came out of Put a Helmet On. And I revisited it on my fourth album, Wussification. And I revisited Merry Christmas because I wanted to stand up for all the patriots, all the old-fashioned Americans, all the Christians, all the conservatives, who just felt like Christmas and the traditions and the beauty of Christmas was being cast aside for the sake of political correctness. And so I want to show you a clip of what that comedy was, because we're going to talk about it here in just a moment. But there's something about this I want to talk about that I think you might find interesting. So I'm going to play a comedy clip from the classic 2008 album, Wussification. And this is Merry Christmas 2, as in T-double-O. We're going to look at it, we're going to maybe laugh at it, and then we're going to talk about it. Wyatt, my son, my firstborn, he who came from my loins, can you hit Merry Christmas 2? Merry Christmas! Did you hear me? Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, kids. Look at the people. Why is he saying Merry Christmas? It's February. Mother, he's scaring me. I'll tell you why. Because I just have reached a place in my life where I figured if there are Americans in this country, which would make sense being that it's America, but if there are Americans who actually believe that it is offensive and insensitive to say Merry Christmas at Christmas time, well, the least I can do is then say it the other 11 months of the year. I figure that's a good trade-off. I'll say it the other 11. Makes sense. Makes sense. Sure, if it makes sense you can't say it at Christmas time, that must make sense you can say it the other times. I'm going to say it all the time. It's going to be my new buzzword. People call me on the phone. Is Brad there? Merry Christmas! Policeman will stop you. You know how fast you were going? Merry Christmas! Doctor's visit, I think we found some polyps in that colon. Merry Christmas! I'm saying it all the time. I'm going to say Merry Christmas so often, they're going to beg me to save it for Christmas time. And I'll tell you why, because I believe in the truth. That's all I have is the truth, my brothers and my sisters. All I have is the truth, and that's what I want to speak about. And the truth of the matter is, most people celebrate Christmas. If there's another religion, another belief system, you have the right to disagree. I don't care. That's what America is. But you have got to be kidding me to act like there's tons of people that might be offended by Christmas. I'm sorry, but how many people don't? So you can celebrate Christmas in this country. What, 4? Well into the 90% of people are Christmas shoppers. And yet the retail establishments actually took Merry Christmas signs out of their stores. The same stores, by the way, that start advertising in July for you to show up at Christmas time, who beg you to show up so they can make some money, took our signs out because they wanted to be, inclusive. And there's no inclusiveness. They're acting like there's all these other people that if they don't show up, they're going to lose money. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, but, if you lose all those last-minute winter solstice buyers, you're going to lose a lot of dough. No, I don't think so. No, but I'll tell you what, if Christmas shoppers don't show up, you're in trouble. So I say we try an experiment since you're so inclusive. Here's what we're going to buy this Christmas. Are you ready? All the Christmas shoppers, here's what we're going to buy. Ready? Nothing! Look at the kids. Ah! Why, I would do anything for the Lord. No presents. Ah! He's asking too much. Send me to Africa instead. We're not buying nothing, you hear me? We're not going to buy a gift. We're not going to buy a ribbon. We're not going to buy a card. We're not going to buy a tree. We're not going to show up in one retail establishment in the month of December in case our presence is offensive. What do you think they'll do the following year? Keep them signs down because they feel like they've done something good for America? No, let me tell you what they'll do the following year. Not only will Merry Christmas signs return, they'll be 50 feet high in neon with fireworks shooting out of the top of them. And they'll make it mandatory that all their checkout girls dress like Jesus. Handing out Bibles with every purchase the entire time, being serenaded by a 50-piece Vienna boys choir playing Silent Night in Latin. And the only thing that might offend you is stepping in camel poop from the live nativity scene they shipped in from Bethlehem. That's what would happen if Christmas shoppers didn't show up just one December. Just one. So that was my revisiting of the idea of Christmas. So I want to give you guys a little bit of an insight as a comic to those of you who might be a fan of what I do as a comic, because I've always tried to give you guys who watch my podcast and those of you who've been there from the beginning a little bit of behind the scenes about comedians in general, and what they do and why they do what they do and how they originate some of the ideas they have. And so this particular one, I had realized after 2003, when Put a Helmet On came out, that something had happened, that my unapologetic expression that I'm a Christian, I'm a conservative, I love America, and I think it's the greatest nation of all time, and I'm not going to apologize. I don't give a crap what you think, and if you want to watch, great, and if you don't, I don't care, but I'm going to sit here and stand for my free speech and my point of view and love on my faith and love on my country. That's what I wanted to do. That was what freedom was to me. And so I just went all in. I went all in and said, I'm going to be the conservative mouthpiece. And it got me a lot of accolades. I mean, I didn't do it to think I was manipulating it or whatever, or leveraging it. It's just, I said, this is what I am. And it did pay dividends, because here's the truth. There are more conservatives in America today than there are leftists. There are more patriots in America than there are unpatriots. There's more Christians in America than there are non-Christians. There's more originalists, those who believe in the Constitution as originally intended, I think, than those who are not. There's still that ethos in America as the majority. So what happened? What's going on? What nobody could anticipate, what nobody could see, what nobody could realize what was going to happen, was the control of information. You see, we always believed, because we have a First Amendment, that we would never have to be concerned about the abridgment of the press, for example, because that's clearly indicated in the First Amendment that you're not allowed to do that. Now, keep in mind that the abridgment of the press simply means that there can't be an editing, there can't be a censoring, there can't be a government intrusion that decides to tell you what you can and cannot say. That's what it was about. That doesn't mean, clearly, that the press can't edit themselves. It doesn't mean they can't censor themselves. It doesn't mean that they can't become agenda-driven themselves. It doesn't mean that they can't decide that we no longer want to be the press, but we want to keep the superficial structure of the illusion that we are free press, when in fact we're not. We have an agenda. We are leftists. We are cultural Marxists. We are going to live by the idea that you will not speak against our point of view, or you will be shut out. But what we didn't realize was this was possible. See, I always believed, I was naive. I thought, well, they can't do that because we will simply come up with a right-leaning paper, a conservative paper, a First Amendment paper. What we didn't know was that the entire momentum of freedom of speech dissemination was going to become on the internet. We didn't realize that we were going to have phones that were going to be able to be like some kind of hybridized, advanced Dick Tracy watch that I could watch and have a television on my watch and see the person I'm talking to, and this was so beyond our wildest dreams it could ever happen. We've taken that to whole new levels where I can live stream a television show while I'm holding it in my hand and show it around the world. This is the world we live in now, fellow humans. And so, if that becomes the go-to means by which we talk to each other, then what happens naturally is the older forms of communication simply go by the wayside. They atrophy, they die, they vanish. They're not useful. They're not used. They have no substance anymore. They have no momentum anymore. They have no leverage anymore because we've abandoned them. You can have the greatest live concert in human history recorded on 8-track. Nobody's going to watch it. Nobody's ever going to see it. It's so outmoded, they don't even make the machinery to play it if you wanted to. That's where we're at. So, we didn't know that if the press simply decided to censor us and do it by means of networks, which didn't used to be the case, because keep in mind that they were able to survive, they were able to thrive, they were able to profit by selling ads. Well, those ads were by capitalistic, multi-million and billionaire companies who want to get their product continually in front of the paying public with the hopes of continually making more billions. So consequently, it was imperative that they were pro-America, that they didn't show favorites to any ideology, and if they believed something was anti-America, it was anti-free speech, was anti-conservatism in what would be considered classic American traditional concepts that we would all share together as one, they would simply abandon that product. And I'm sorry, if that show, because they knew this was going to be costly for them. Isn't the case anymore. The corporate world has gone woke. Why? Why have they gone woke? This didn't make any sense to me. It would seem that they would be shooting themselves in the foot because the majority of people are conservatives and capitalists in America, and we're the ones that are the spending power. Why would they lean towards those small academically created few that have created this cultural Marxist postmodern critical race theory nonsense and acquiesce to these lunatics? These illogical lunatics. I say illogical because they believe logic is racist. These people that live in a world where they never had to build anything, never had to risk anything, never had to create anything, never had to. All they had to do was disparage those who have, and they got equity from that. And they did. Because what the leftists did was saying, we will go ahead and play your woke game on the surface. If you look the other way, when we go out and make money, when we go out and shut things down by saying, you know what, you don't need mom and pop, just go to Amazon. We'll cover it for you. Ooh, is there an epidemic out there? You got to stay at home. Can't go doing stuff. Don't worry. Believe it or not, we all have been communicating. Not you and I. Not those of us watching, those of us speaking. Those of us in the upper echelons. A world of high dollars and high pride. A world that most of us probably will never see. Who are saying, we've got together and we've decided, fear not. We'll provide whatever you need. Pandemic's here, don't worry. Go to a strip club. We're going to keep it open. Go get drunk. We're going to keep it open. Going to make money for alcohol. Going to make money for pornography. Don't worry. You don't even have to go anywhere. Amazon will bring it to you. Don't worry. You don't have to go anywhere. We'll do the shopping for you. Don't worry. You don't have to go anywhere. We will cover it for you. Don't even have to go to work. Don't worry. We'll cover it for you. Just obey our edicts. Just conform to the new reality. Just give yourself away to the new means of productivity, the new means of interacting as humans. Just keep locked into what we have provided. We'll take care of you. Vote for us and continue to support us. And we'll make sure you never have to do anything, especially think. That's what we've gotten. So here we sit with me doing a routine back in '08 about Merry Christmas. And here's what I was trying to say with that routine. It bothered me that, and this was the beginning, that's why I talked to you about the wokeism of what the capitalistic companies have attached themselves to. Now, in 2020, 2021, this was back in 2008, so 12 years ago. They were beginning to do it then. Well, what I was frustrated by was the fact that they wanted my money, but they weren't going to dignify my religious traditions. They wanted my support, but they weren't going to dignify the holiday that drives this support. And this was the hypocrisy that I was trying to examine through a comedic lens. They say, listen, it has nothing to do with us not liking Christmas, but there's so many other holidays that are being celebrated. It simply isn't fair to leave out Hanukkah because there's Jewish folks in America and they feel left out. It simply isn't fair to leave out, what else? A winter solstice, which William, my atheist fan and friend, he's not friend actually, and I don't mean that in an insulting way. We're not friends. We don't know each other. We're Facebook friends. But he made a joke about winter solstice, which I made a joke about. And here's what I was trying to get at. Here was the hypocrisy that I so despised, and as a comic, I could talk about it. This is what it was. We don't want to emphasize Christmas because all the other holidays, Boxing Day, Hanukkah, oh my goodness, I've forgotten the African celebration. You remember what that is? The African celebration, Kwanzaa. Sorry, Wyatt, I made a mistake about thinking you'd have some way to help me when I was in a dilemma. You don't even know African celibate. I thought you would get Kwanzaa.
They're the ones who did Who's on First.
Yeah.
I said that 20 minutes ago. Where were you?
Watching you look it up on the internet so you could figure out who Abbott and Costello was.
I wasn't looking it up on the internet. I was making sure you streamed it and crash and burn.
Okay, stream. There you go. So anyways, what I was getting at was this. They said they wanted to include everybody equally, but when you walked into those stores that no longer said Merry Christmas, they had Christmas trees. I go, oh, wait a minute. We want everybody equal. Why are there Christmas trees? Isn't that about Christmas? You know what else they had? Tinsel. You know what else they had? Packages in red bows. You know what else they had? Red and green. You know what else they had? Yule logs. You know what else they had? They had all types of Santa photos and pictures. They had elves. So my point is, everything was Christmas except the word, as though we would notice. So what they wanted to say is, we want our cake and eat it too. We want to get the value of Christmas. We want to get the mood of Christmas. We want to get the tone of Christmas. We want to get you in the Christmas spirit. We might even play Christmas songs, but we won't mention Christmas because really we're trying to make everybody equal. This ridiculous hypocrisy is what I was making fun of. That's what I was mocking. That's what I was trying to be disgusted by. And comedy really is about anger and frustration. I just don't like that. I'm going to expose it. Oh, this bothers me, so I'm going to bring it up. Because most humans have the same anger and the same frustrations. Now, there might be many of you out there that could care less if it says Merry Christmas or not. Maybe in fact, you think we should be fair to everybody. And you know what? It made me think about something, Wyatt. It made me think about something. When I saw last week, when I did my Merry Christmas rant that ended up on that Go Fish song, when I did this new rant, right, that came a few years later, 5 years later, it made me start to think to myself, have I changed as a comic from what I did then and what I did now? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. I have changed to a degree. At the time that I did that rant, it was still easy to talk about Merry Christmas, the war on Christmas, the war of political correctness against any of the traditions that America has had. And it was easy. It was an easy target. It was fish in the barrel because my people would totally resonate with that and accept it as real and legitimate. And that's what they would see. But I began to wonder to myself, is that a hill to die on? Is that really where I want my comedy to go as I make cultural commentary on the things that I see? I think that the biggest problem in America right now isn't whether we can say or are saying Merry Christmas. And by the way, I think the fact that people talked about that, from myself to whomever else, Rush Limbaugh's maybe, or others in the conservative television market, probably Sean Hannity. I think in some ways that changed. I think I did see some Merry Christmas signs coming back. I think I did see some of the retail sellers trying to relive that because they felt like maybe it did cost them something at the cash register. Maybe there was a dent that was made. But I began to realize that as I got older, as a man, as a Christian, as a conservative, as a human, as an American, sometimes you began to decide that some of these easy targets aren't necessarily the most effective way to combat what is the greater problem, which is what I have fought from the beginning as a comic. Political correctness, or as you guys should know, because you've watched my video, my podcast and my Stine Has Issues clips, cultural Marxism. Cultural Marxism. Everything we are battling is a direct result of cultural Marxism that was an evolution from postmodernism, which has to destroy anything to do with the modern world, anything to do with the Judeo-Christian West, and destroy it so they can recreate it in a Marxist utopia that has never existed, that has never worked, and never will, because it is a failed, corrupt, cancerous, brutal, evil, dark system. But if you have gotten rid of God, and you certainly want to get rid of God in a culture, it's got to be replaced with something. God is the ultimate, absolute foundation of teleology. You cannot, and I speak this to William, my atheist friend, or to any other atheist, because I love talking to atheists. They're usually really smart and interesting. They've thought things through, and there's a reason why they have landed where they've landed as to their worldview and how they see things. So I like to have conversations with them, as long as they are well-spoken, well-thought, and civil atheists like William is, as opposed to some of these new atheists on the internet that have nothing to do but just to mock and ridicule people of faith. It's such a twisted, absurd, uncivil way to engage fellow humans that it just makes me uninterested in having a conversation with them, because they can't have a conversation. Conversation listens to both sides, dignifies both points of view, and then decides to comment and try to sort of pick apart ideas and thoughts and see if we can find an actual conclusion that one of us might be missing. That's what a real conversation, if it has value and weight, can do. In this case, we oftentimes don't see that. But there was something about this idea that I wanted to bring up, and this is, I hope, my balance on my podcast between being a Christian conservative, certainly finding fault, making jokes about postmodernism, making jokes about postmodernists, cultural Marxists, wokeism, leftism, atheism, making fun of those things in a way that I hope is funny. That's what I'm here to do, just like they make fun. Just like Ricky Gervais, an amazing genius comic writer when it comes to television and TV and film. Incredibly funny guy, wonderfully creative, brilliant. Love his work. He's an atheist. He is an outspoken atheist and mocks Christianity, mocks religious people in a funny way. And I can watch Ricky Gervais and laugh and go, that was funny. I don't agree with you. I think if it comes to actual worldview, actual philosophical understanding of people of faith, you don't get it. Most atheists I've ever met are pretty smart people, but they have zero, I mean this literally, not in a mocking or in a malicious way, zero understanding of deep philosophy. They really don't understand. And philosophy is so important to a culture because it is the metaphysics. It's the science of teleology. It's the science of meaning. Without it, without the understanding of why we exist, which is the ultimate question, then none of this other stuff matters. I don't care if it's science. I don't care if it's, I don't care what it is. If there is no meta-narrative, if there's no absolute meaning in life, then nothing matters. Your science doesn't matter. Your books don't matter. Your professorate doesn't matter. Your atheism doesn't matter. Your Christianity doesn't matter. If there is no God, nothing matters. Nietzsche said that first. It wasn't my idea. But there's something that comes around every Christmas that I wanted to talk to you guys about for a second, because I keep seeing it. I always just kind of disregard it. But I thought maybe today I'm going to talk about it a little bit. And that is these Christians that get on my thread when I talk about Merry Christmas. And they say they don't celebrate Christmas because it's a pagan holiday and you can't be a real Christian and celebrate Christmas. Why? Have you ever heard that?
No, I've not heard that.
Yeah, once again, folks, I wasted my time hoping that my son, my sidekick, would have some insightful, humorous, wonderful response, whether it was with some actual insight or just something funny. Again, I'm failing miserably to utilize my sidekick properly because he simply doesn't kick my side.
Exactly. And that's the joke.
Okay. Well,
I wouldn't be a good sidekick if I didn't set you up for some clever puns and jokes.
Okay. Nice.
And sometimes the best joke I can give you is ignorance.
Well, son, take it from me. You've got ignorance down.
Yeah.
Now, here's what somebody said to me on one of my threads. Christmas has nothing to do with Christ. The Holy Word of God tells us to not keep the ways of pagans, but rather his ways found in his Word. Mainstream Christianity salutes many ways and days that are pagan at the root. In our relationship with our Heavenly Father, we must be biblically correct instead of culturally misled and deceived by the vain traditions of man. Many would say it doesn't matter, but it does matter to God. So we have this person who believes that there's something pagan and illegitimate about talking about and believing in and celebrating Christmas. So here's something that I want to say about this. I'm going to have to read it quickly, but listen to this. Most people never stop to ask themselves what the major symbols of Christmas, Santa Claus, reindeer, decorated trees, holly, mistletoe, blah, 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 have to do with the birth of the Savior of mankind. In the southern hemisphere, summer climate in December, few people question why they observe a Christmas with northern hemisphere winter scenery. The fact is, and you can verify this in any number of books and encyclopedias, that all these trappings came from ancient pagan festivals. Even the date, December 25th, came from a festival celebrating the birthday of the ancient sun god Mithras. If you'd like to learn more about the origins of the many customs and symbols associated with Christmas, request our free study guide, and then they give a study guide. Jesus never told his followers to celebrate Christmas, but he did warn us not to adhere to false, man-made religious doctrines. And then they use a scripture. And in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. The truth is, Christmas and other unbiblical religious holidays arising from pagan religious practice constitute vain or empty worship. Now, I find it fascinating that this guy decides this scripture that he took out of context, which is Mark 7:7, and in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. The commandments of men. The truth is, Christmas and other unbiblical religious holidays arise from pagan religious practice, which constitutes vain or empty worship. No, it doesn't! What are you talking about? I want any of you out there that celebrate Christmas, who happen to be a Christian. William, I know you're out. I know you're not one of us. But you will be soon. I know God has got a plan for you, and I know you don't want to hear that. But I'm sorry, sir. You wouldn't be on my podcast if God hadn't decided to reel you in from your craziness. Why? Didn't you think William's crazy for being an atheist?
I'm pretty sure we need to think of a better word than crazy.
Crazy? That's crazy for you to even think I should think of something else. It's crazy.
No, seriously, stop. We've used up our crazy quota for the day.
Fine. Loco. Anyways, here's what I wanted to get at. Yes, I might throw in a Spanish word now again. Don't think that I'm not trying to reach my South American friends.
Yeah, it's just crazy the way you do it.
Well, listen, Ecuadorians would consider it muy loco. Here's what I wanted to talk about this idea of them sort of making these giant leaps of faith. Whoo! Would they think it's actually vain worship? Nobody that I know of that celebrates Christmas, and I'm talking about Christian folk, are worshiping Christmas. Nobody. They're always worshiping Jesus. So they have chosen December 25th, granted, a pagan holiday, right? Right? Let's go find it. I couldn't find it. It's a pagan holiday. William would know. But what happened was the church used and chose that day. I think it was the worship of a sun god or something like that. I don't remember now because I don't pay attention to a lot of pagan holidays. But they said, let's take December 25th, this worship of this false god, right? And we're going to replace it as the worship of Jesus Christ the Savior, and we will make this his birthday instead. We're going to replace a pagan holiday and turn it into a representation. Nobody said he was born on December 25th. There was no December 25th holiday, more than likely, that we could even reference. Now, everybody had calendars. What they wanted to do was do what Christianity's entire purpose is, which is to redeem those things which are broken. So they said, let's just use this day to worship Jesus' birth instead of this pagan guy's birth. Now, here's the point. You can say, well, they used a pagan holiday and decided to stick this there, but really, that's the point. The fact that it started out as a pagan holiday means that surreptitiously, even though they put through Jesus in there as a small baby in swaddling clothes, Wyatt, do you still have your swaddling clothes?
In the closet, back row on the left.
Okay.
Where I left them.
Well, you know what? That's crazy. But I'm glad you still have them. There's the thing. How can anybody make a leap of conclusion that if you're trying to literally replace a holiday that you believe is irredeemable, right? It's worshiping that which is false, counterfeit, unchristian, ungodly. And let's say we're going to try to erase its memory by adding this actual holiday that will be a new representation of the birth of God on earth, the single most important event in human history. If Jesus is actually God, there is no story more important. There is no more important birth. We want to replace it with that so people will begin to remember this new idea that has been given to us, revelatory, God has been on earth. That's pretty cool to me. That's pretty amazing to me. But here's what I'm getting at. You can always find, and notice what I'm doing today on this podcast. I'm making fun of my own. To be a good comic, you need to not only make fun of the other, you need to make fun of your own. If you're fat, you can do fat jokes. Well, I'm not fat and I do fat jokes. If you fart a lot, you can do fart jokes. I do fart a lot and I do fart jokes. If you are a woman, you can do woman jokes. I do woman jokes and I'm a man. So all of the analogies I was about to use, I realize I can't use because I make fun of everybody and everything, even if I'm not of that ilk. Wyatt, are you of that ilk?
No, I'm not out of most of those ilks, but that will not stop me from making fun of everyone, because think about it. If you make fun of everyone equally, are you really making fun of anyone?
Well put. You know, another good thing is beef jerky can be made out of elk meat. You might want to look into it. Here's the other thing I wanted you guys to understand. When I see somebody that adds the caveat, you're not really a Christian if. You can't call yourself a Christian if. Well, as soon as I hear that, I'm out. I've said this before. It's the exact same guy that sends me this thing. I believe Jesus is God, and if you really love Jesus, you'll pass this on to 497 people. And if you don't, it means you hate God. The moment I'm given some clearly irrelevant option that they've arbitrarily decided to force me to live by their chain letter significance, I'm out. Not going to do it. Not sending it nowhere. Nobody's going to tell me that God is basing my salvation on a chain letter version of Facebook meme. I'm out. I can't stand it when my people look like idiots. I can't stand it when my people are self-righteous. I can't stand it when my people are ignorant. I can't stand it when my people aren't educated. I can't stand it when my people look like jackasses. I can't stand it when my people are judgmental to the effect that they are unkind, unloving, uncivil. And you know what? I've been all those things too. Just to let you know, I'm in that category. I too have been in that ilk, son. So I'm not leaving myself out. But here's what I want to say to these people. And it's one thing I have told you guys who have been with the podcast from the beginning. I don't want to just have a conservative Christian patriotic podcast where everybody that's conservative Christian or patriotic or one of those ilks say, I love what you say because you say what I believe, so I want your podcast. If you agree with me and say what I say, great. If you come on there because you enjoy somebody's justifying your point of view, fine. But I want to educate you so you can go out into the atmosphere and spew this information to everybody you can to educate them. So I want this to be something that can help you be changed, to grow, to adapt, to educate, to be a warrior, an awakened warrior. Not woke, an awakened warrior for truth and First Amendment freedom. I want you to be that. I want this podcast to actually help an army of Americans or whoever's watching it become once again pillars of society, the smartest, the strongest, the most unapologetic, the most committed, the most absolutely willing to draw a line in the sand, to put a flag down and say, I will die on this hill. There's freedoms, there's liberties, there's things that are more important than living my actual life. I have to find a hill, literally, that I'll die on. That's the only way you know if you are absolutely committed to truth as an ultimate concept that's more important to you than your life, your existence, your contentment. What are you willing to die for? I've told you this before. If you have nothing to die for, you literally have nothing worth living for. That is the reality. We have in America that we're sitting and watching and listening to my freedom still here, still hanging on by a thread because somebody died. Somebody actually died. Somebody actually sat on a scaffold with a rope around their neck and say, I regret that I have but one life to give for my country. A man was about to be hung and said, I'm grateful to do this. I'll bet you this will get passed on. I bet there'll be a lineage of people that will be able to live freely. And I wish I could give more life. I wish I could die more for this great nation. That's what I believe about it. Where are those people? Where are those Americans? I hope I'm one. I'm trying to be. I told my family I've decided to be fully committed to conservatism, to my faith, to my freedoms, to my liberties. I'm going to go full on at the woke. I'm going to go full bore at the communists. I believe China's behind so much of of the hell on this earth right now that they need to be brought to bear. They are the greatest danger in the world by far, period. And matter of fact, this might be the last podcast you'll ever see, because I wouldn't be surprised if Facebook is in fact in cahoots with them, because there's so much money that China will give to anybody that's willing to bow the knee and follow them wherever they lead you by the nose. Lots of wonderful Christian people in China. I pray for them all the time. But their leadership, their government is pure evil. So, I want you guys to realize that if somebody comes to you and say, well, it was a pagan holiday, so consequently you can't be celebrating this Christmas, even though it has nothing to do with this pagan holiday. Nobody thinks of this pagan holiday. Nobody even doesn't even cross their mind anymore. We've fully redeemed it, fully flipped it on its head, fully turned it into a representation of God giving peace on earth, goodwill towards men, giving himself on earth so that he could redeem man. That's what it's become. That's all we ever think about. Christmas means Christ Mass. That's all it's become. If you honestly think that somehow people are surreptitiously worshiping some pagan god from 2,000 years ago, you're delusional. But if that's truly what you believe, that I won't worship, I will not celebrate Christmas because it is pagan to the core. If you really believe that, I got some real bad news for you. Do you use a calendar? I sure do. That's how I knew that pagans used to be December 25th worship. You use a calendar? I sure do. Every day? Yes. All week? Yes. Every day? Yes. Let me give you some good news then. Monday is derived from the Anglo-Saxon monadag, which translates to the moon's day, a day that's sacred to the moon goddess. In Spanish, Monday is called lunes, from the Spanish word for moon, luna. So, Monday is worshiping the moon goddess. Tuesday belongs to Tyr, a Norse god. However, for the Romans, Tuesday was the day of their god of wars, Mars. And they called the day Dies Martis. In Spanish, that day is called Martes. Martini in Italian and Mardi in French. In Sweden, Tuesday is translated as Tisdag because the Swedes didn't want to get anywhere close to Mard. The point is, the Norse god Tyr is what you're worshiping if you believe Tuesday exists. Hey, how about Wednesday? You want like that? Well, it honors Odin or Woden. For the Romans, it's the day of their god Mercury, and they called Wednesday Dies Mercury. So, just wanted to let you know that if you have Wednesday or Hump Day, you're worshiping Woden. Thursday's Thursday, and it's called Torsdag in the Norse language. The Romans called this day for Jupiter, or Jove's Day, which means if you believe in Thursday, if you use the word Thursday in conversation, it's because you worship Thor and Jove's. Friday salutes Frigg, the Norse goddess. The Norse sure got a lot of names named, didn't they, Wyatt? They got a lot of days named. Frigeg is a translation of this day in Old High German. It's the day of Venus, according to the Romans, and called the day as Dies Veneris. So, if Friday is the day you look forward to end your week, just let you know you're saluting Frigg and the Roman god Venus. You are a pagan. You're going to hell. Secondly and lastly, Saturday honors Saturn and is called Dies Saturni by the ancient Romans. And Norse and Danish language, it's called Lördag, and Lördag in Swedish. So, just thought you should know that Saturday, that beautiful day where you get up, and if you're really a legalist, you might even think Saturday is the Lord's Day. Why, that in fact is the actual Sabbath. I'm sure if you already believe we can't worship Christmas, that you only believe Saturday is the only day you can worship God. I just want to make you know that if you use the word Saturday in context with the idea that it is the Sabbath, you're worshiping a Norse god. So you're a heretic and you're going to hell. So I want to show you, legalists, you lunatics, what it feels like to be caught, hoisted on your own petard. Wyatt, have you ever had your petard hoisted?
I surely hope not. It don't seem pleasant.
No, it is not, son. It's not. And the last thing you want to be hoisted by in your petard is wearing your swaddling clothes. Speaking of you pooping your pants, I thought that it was important that everybody remembered that we in fact have a woman who earlier in this thread mentioned that she was incontinent. I just give her such credit. Listen, if we are getting to the end of the year and you believe in this podcast, you want to watch it grow, and trust me if I tell you, if you go back on the old versions a year ago, I was in my office downstairs on my laptop trying to pretend like I knew what I was doing. It now has some lights, it's got a mic, it's got another mic. We're going to have a new camera. I hope to have the two cameras set up by next year, where we launch the brand new Brad Stine show, where we're going to be able to have guests on, and we're going to be able to maybe lengthen the show. I need you guys, and I again go to you guys because you were the ones that started with me from the very beginning. And if you're brand new to the show, I hope you like it. Leave any suggestions. If you want to give to the show, subscribe to it. We're going to make that available. We'll make a club of some kind, like Steven Crowder did with the Mug Club. We'll have something that lets you be part of it. You can help send it out on social, and we can grow this. I told everybody that started from the very beginning, if this grows, it's going to be for two reasons. One, because God wanted it to exist, and two, because you decided I'm going to give and make it happen. I'll be here. I've got my son involved. I'll do whatever I can. If I have something to give to the America that can help it grow, out doing my live events, growing my live events with Jonathan Chiliafaro in the Spirit of America tour, opera singer, and myself, with the Comedy Constitution tour with Rick Green, who's a guest I've had on, who's an expert on the Constitution. If you want to see me do my live events in comedy clubs, if you want to see me do my fundraisers for crisis pregnancy resource centers, if you want to see me do work next year in the midterms at conservative events for conservative candidates, which I will be doing, if this is what you want to participate in, if you want to be an awakened warrior to fight for the freedoms of America, that we will not die without a fight, that there are those of us who are still doing everything we can to access whatever platform will allow us on to fight for conservative values, patriot values, originalist values, in the fact that the Constitution should be remembered as how the founders believed it was to be, and not what it's become. If that's what you believe, and certainly a people of faith, and the reason I bring up my Christianity is, number one, I believe it's true, and I want you to know this Jesus that we're celebrating this month, but also for those of you who don't believe in Jesus or don't believe in God, I hope that it's still an interesting podcast, because as William has pointed out, you can be a conservative, you can certainly be a patriot, and you don't have to be a Christian, of course. But I just want you guys to remember that Christianity is the only religion that allows you to have an antithetical religion in its presence, and it doesn't push it aside. Now, they haven't always done that perfectly, true, but in the Americas, for example, it was put into our Constitution that you have freedom, that the government cannot intervene and keep you from public or private worship of your religious duties. That's why it's illegal for me to wear a cross in Saudi Arabia, where they invented Islam, but you can have a temple here in the United States that's Islamic, and we allow it because Christianity believes that all people are allowed the free autonomy to believe or not believe in God, and that's what we try to do. That's what freedom actually is. So I hope you've learned a little bit about what I was trying to get at, which is, do we as Christians, as Americans even, reclaim our traditions, and which ones really matter to the substance of what makes America great, like Christmas. And I get it, not everybody is a Christian. I get not everybody celebrates Christmas, but it gave us a commonality. Wyatt, how long is the clip that I have about on Brad Stine Has Issues?
11 minutes.
Is it too long? Okay, it's too long. I don't want to leave you guys that long. Maybe we'll do it next week. But I wanted to show that even if you don't celebrate Christmas, even if you're not a Christian, even if you're an atheist, even if you're Muslim, maybe you're Jewish, but what Christmas brought to the world was a unity that everybody could find access to and resonance with, even if it had nothing to do with your faith, because it was about light as opposed to darkness. That's why we have such luminaries during Christmas season, why we illuminate our outside of our homes with light. It has a resonance that said there was brightness, there was revelation, there was something we wanted you to see about how the world actually works, that throws the darkness aside and brings truth to it. It also talks about peace on earth, goodwill towards men. There's not a Christianese element to that. It's something everybody can want and hope for. Why, even atheists who are neo-Darwinists believe that Darwinism said that if we have a cultural compact, if we come together as units and say, you don't kill me, I won't kill you, and maybe we'll be peace, why, they think that even has value. They can't justify it, by the way, from an atheistic point of view, because there is no values in atheism. There is no intrinsic, transcendent values. They choose values. They put values into place so they can survive. True enough. They do moral things. True enough. What their belief system cannot do is justify it, because there's nothing intrinsic morally in the atheistic point of view. And again, this isn't me making a blanket statement or making it up. Nietzsche said the same thing. Bertrand Russell said the same thing. It's simply true. Belief systems have consequences. What you believe has consequences. And nothing has more consequences than what you believe or don't believe about God. How you choose to accept or not accept God will change and basically color everything you will ever be as a human being until you die. It is that important. We're going to talk about more of that next week. We're going to talk more about Christmas, this whole Christmas season. Again, if you want to be part of this initial people, you might have been on here for the first time and said, man, he keeps talking to these people and asking them to help him. I do. I look at these first people literally as the people that built this studio, built this show, because they believed in it and they felt they were supposed to give. So I ask them, if you're watching my podcast right now, you're on the inside. I'm literally looking at you saying, hey, give me some thoughts. Give me some advice. Give me some things you like about the show. What don't you like? Tell me some things you want me to add. You are literally helping to produce this show. Clearly, my son can't do it. We've established that. He can't even start Facebook at 7 o'clock. Now, he did last week. He did the week before that. He did the week before that. And then he did it the week before that. Oh, the week before that he did it. Oh, and 2 months ago, a week before that, he did it then. The only day he couldn't do it was today. And he justified that by saying, Dad, it just simply won't come on at 7 o'clock. The only time he wasn't able to get it on at 7 was today. And then he acted like, why... That's how it's been the whole time.
It's been that way the whole time since we started dual casting to YouTube. Also, maybe if I could enter the studio before 7 p.m. because you've got your show going on until then, I'd be able to put it up quicker.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the voice of a 25-year-old making excuses for his failure.
Okay, it's an excuse. Do you or do you not have a show going on every Monday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m.
To 6:55. And it's called Clubhouse. And yes, it's another means by which people can hear me from a whole different show.
Really?
Yeah.
So I really can't be here doing that, right?
No, you can. But let me ask you one question, son, as we get ready to sign off. Next week, everybody's going to be back here, and they're going to be bringing friends, and we might be growing this thing into who knows how big. So I only have one question for you, my son. And you do remember, you came from my loins.
Yep, I remember that.
He doesn't remember that. I bring it up because he hates to have me bring up my loins in his presence, especially when I tell him that's how he was created.
I mean, at this point, that's just your catchphrase in this podcast. We should be putting T-shirts with that logo.
From my loins?
No, you came from my loins. Just wear that in public. Man, that'll go out fine.
Don't think that I won't. Don't think that I won't.
Don't think we shouldn't.
Especially on a Christian podcast. Boy, will they love that.
Oh, man.
But listen, but here's the thing. If you believe in this, if you want to help it grow, if you want to be part of the original fans and friends that are on Facebook Live, and we'll go to whatever platforms we're using. If you're on YouTube for the first time and you want to give, I am a ministry, nonprofit, God's Comic Ministries. If you give and say, I want to give, I want to help this thing grow, just say you want to. We'll send you a link. You put it on there, stick it on there. It'll be a great final before the end of the year for you to get some tax benefits. I will, and anybody that wants to donate $500, I will give my personal copy of Christmas with a capital C. I'll sign it to whoever you want to. I'll send it to them. It's $500, and I will give you that gift to send to Christmas for your people for that very thing. I've got a lot more things coming, a lot more shows, live shows, different things coming on. You guys have been with me throughout this whole year. We're getting to 2 or 3 more weeks left of 2021, and we'll be moving into 2022. Lots of big things in store, lots of big new things to happen. So let me know if you want a link to give. Let me know if you have any ideas for what we can do in the future. Thank you for coming on. We had a good crowd this time. I saw up to 175. So we're going to keep growing. This is going somewhere. We've got a place to go. And we're going to do our best to make this the most unique, interesting, hopefully funny, hopefully informative, hopefully educational, hopefully inspiring podcast I can do until I die. And then my son will take over. And you know what that means? It'll last about a week.
Mm-hmm.
God bless you. Merry Christmas. And remember, if you don't celebrate Christmas, don't celebrate days. It makes you a pagan. See you, folks. God's comic Brad Stine saying PC free is liberty, and an awakened warrior can change the world. See you next week.